What's happening? We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Oh. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Department of Education, and we're here with you on Saturdays. We share updates, activities, events as much as we can to help to develop or further expose our young people to positive activities, our students, and of course parents, so that you can go about guiding your children through the different activities which are happening. And last Saturday we had an exciting program. It was the culmination of was the culminating show for January, and we were able to see some students, some representatives from the Charlestown Primary School, and they were speaking about earthquakes. And I'm hoping that all of you had an opportunity to start doing your family meetings and planning in the event of an earthquake. And not just an earthquake, but any natural disaster, any disaster. It's important that as families we have plans. While as a system we will have plans as to how to mitigate and how to respond, it's important that within your own households you are able to do that. And I want to say a special thank you to Mr. Jack Gumba, Mr. Jack Gumba, Miss Zoe Bendito, and the entire team at the Nevis Disaster Management Department for partnering with us, for partnering with our schools, our students, to continue to share the important messages. We can look forward to another episode in collaboration with the Nevis Disaster Management Department at the end of this month, and this month's featured school is St. James Primary. We know that it is an active term. I looked at some of the schedules this week and I thought, wow, we looked at some of the video footages. We had cross countries, we had cross country relays, we have so many things happening. We have an upcoming elocution competition, inter-school elocution competition. For those of you who even know what elocution contests are, I think in our conversations with various persons at various ages, our last elocution contest, primary school elocution contest, primary secondary, might have been somewhere in the mid-1990s. So those persons who were in school after that might not have a frame of reference. We're trying to start by reintroducing the elocution concept this year and then building on it going forward. We have some other activities happening, so it's a very, very active term for us here in education. And we have, well, we started making sure that we mentally prepared during term one, because when we looked at the projected dates and projected activities going forward for 2023, we realized that it would be a packed calendar, and we're still trying to, as much as possible, maintain balance. So what we'll start off this morning by doing is sharing some of the scholarship opportunities. Remember that the scholarship opportunities are advertised and managed by the Ministry of Human Resources, and we use this platform to make sure that our young people know what's out there, that they are able to access and to access early. And so we encourage you, parents who are listening, guardians, well-wishers, other stakeholders, if you know anybody, if you know a young person who is interested in pursuing a tertiary education, allow them to access as many of these scholarship opportunities as possible, because if they may fall short on one, they would have an opportunity to perhaps be successful at another. So we're going to go through all that are currently open so that you would know your next steps. You can be able to chart your course and your way forward. And remember that you contact the Ministry of Human Resources. They're at Penny's Estate, the second floor of the Social Security building, for any questions or queries or concerns or support. The ladies there, Mrs. Gill and Mrs. Jones-Liburd, they provide exceptional support, and so they will be more than willing to provide that support that you may need. Okay, so the current open scholarships, we'll start with the UVI scholarship. That one is still open. It opened up in December and it is currently still open. And so the government of St. Kitts and Nevis invites graduates of the CFBC, Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, as well as the Nevis Sixth Form to apply for the UVI scholarships. Persons who have graduated years ago are certainly welcome to apply. Scholarships are only available to graduates who are interested in undertaking studies at UVI for a maximum of 4 years. The following documents are required to be delivered to the Ministry of Human Resources by Thursday, March 30th, 2023. And even though you think Thursday, March 30th, 2023 is far, it's just about tomorrow. So get on it. What do you need? You need 1 original and 2 copies of your completed application form. You need 1 original and 2 certified copies of your birth certificate. You need 1 original and 2 certified copies of your high school certificates of qualification, and you need 1 original and 2 certified copies of your college certificates of qualification, and 1 original and 2 certified copies of your university acceptance letter. So please make sure that you have these documents. And for those who are wondering, for your academic transcripts and documents to get those certified, you can stop by the Department of Education and we will be happy to assist. The application forms are available at the Ministry of Human Resources, and you can reach out to Mrs. Gill, Mrs. Shanola Murray Gill, or Mrs. Shelley Jones Liebert, or in St. Kitts, you can reach out to Miss Jamila Adams, 467-1323, Nevis 469-5521, and you can ask for extension 5166 or 5164 or 5163. And once you get into one of those extensions, you'll be able to get some help. If you're not sure, you can't remember the extensions, once you call our switchboard, you can ask for the Ministry of Human Resources, and anyone there will be able to channel your call to the appropriate person. We know that there is a contact person for the University of the Virgin Islands Scholarship, and his name is Dr. Eustace Esdale. I know Dr. Esdale very well. We have had several interactions trying to ensure that we have opportunities available for our students. And so he is a professor of accounting there at UVI in the School of Business, and he has there's a special email that serves our applicants here in the Federation, and that email is sknrecruits@uvi.edu. That's sknrecruits@uvi.edu. And the contact number, there's a cell phone number, local cell phone number, so you don't have to pay any overseas charges. 664-7166. That's 869-664-7166. And I know that this scholarship is generally a pretty comprehensive scholarship. It covers many of the expenses that you may have as a student, and so we encourage you, as I said, to take advantage, to apply, to make sure that you put yourself in the runnings. If you're not in the running, then it's hard for you to access the scholarship. So the first step, the most important step, listeners, is to apply. In order to apply, you would realize that one of the documents needed is your acceptance letter. So you need to apply. If you haven't done so and you're interested, you need to make sure that you apply so that you have your acceptance letter before March 30th, the end of March, to ensure that you have an opportunity to at least be part of the deliberations and perhaps come out as a successful scholarship recipient. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we have a few more opportunities to share with those who are interested in pursuing tertiary education.
Sugar City St. Kitts, keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's youth on the go. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab the gators, let's gather around, and adventure is always waiting. With storytelling means for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughan Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel. And welcome to this edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughan Radio. We are here this morning. We've started off the morning by sharing some important opportunities for all of you to all of those listeners or persons connected with students who are interested in pursuing tertiary education. We shared on the UVI scholarship. We're going to move on to the NIA Financial Assistance 2023. The deadline for this application is March 31st, and so the Ministry of Human Resources is pleased to inform all of you that they are now accepting applications from persons wishing to pursue higher education and are interested in receiving financial assistance from the Nevis Island Administration. An individual may apply for financial assistance whether or not the individual is employed by the NIA. Interested persons must adhere to the following guidelines for applications to be considered. 1. A cover letter addressed to Mr. Edson Elliott, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Human Resources, requesting financial assistance. The letter should also state the course of study, why you wish to undergo the specified field of education, and how will that training influence your professional development. How will your professional development contribute to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and the commencement date and expected duration of studies. An original university acceptance letter. University applicants who have not yet received your acceptance letter are encouraged to still apply, providing that there is evidence that the university has received your application. And generally, I say to you, usually you get an auto reply or auto response or an email an email acknowledging receipt of your application. So that's what is expected to be part of the package if you have not been accepted as yet. A complete breakdown of course fees from the university, completed financial assistance application form, and you can get those at the Ministry of Human Resources there at Pinnes Estate, second floor of the Social Security building. You also need to provide your birth certificate or a certificate of citizenship. Kindly note that financial aid awardees will be required to fulfill bonding obligations with the NIA. And as I said, you can get the form there at the Ministry of Human Resources, and the deadline is March 31st. And our contact persons are the same, Mrs. Gill or Mrs. Jones-Liburd, and they will be more than happy to help you. We also have the NIA scholarships, the MOFA and ICDF Taiwan scholarships. Those are the Taiwanese scholarships, and we know that many of our students have traveled to Taiwan to take advantage of these scholarships, and so we encourage you to apply for these. Then sometimes we think if we're not going to be right here in the region, or if we're not going to be in the United States, then that's not something we want to pursue. But we have many success stories of individuals who journeyed to Taiwan to pursue studies and were very successful and are very successful. And so they were successful in their studies, and they're still successful as professionals. And so this call, the Nevis Island Administration, Ministry of Human Resources, has received the call for the Taiwan MOFA and ICDF scholarships 2023. Interested persons are encouraged to exploit the opportunities made available to pursue undergraduate and graduate degree studies. The scholarship benefits include airfare, housing, tuition fees, insurance, textbooks, and monthly allowance. The following are general application guidelines. First one must apply to their preferred university as well as to the Taiwan Embassy in St. Kitts. The university will present a permission slip which must be included with the embassy's application. So you have to go to the university, apply to the university, get that permission slip, then you would attach it to your application for the embassy. Each applicant can only apply for one program, so you're either applying for the ICDF or the MOFA. Individuals can only apply to one university, and the application must also be emailed to that university. It is vital to be mindful of the deadlines set by each university. So the deadline that we're going to speak to this morning is not necessarily the deadlines set by the university. So please pay keen attention to that. Applicants are advised to complete a medical test after their application has been approved. Along with the completed application form, there must also be an original passport and education certificate, as well as 2 copies of all documents. Copies must be clear, meaning easily read, and precise, meaning no cut-offs. There are procedural guidelines, and so of course we encourage you to reach out to the Ministry of Human Resources to make sure that you can access those. It is strongly recommended that the applicant has a GPA of 3.5. Completed application forms must be submitted to the Ministry of Human Resources by Thursday, February 16th, 2023 for the ICDF and Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023 for the MOFA scholarship. Other notifications will specify later deadlines. However, these dates are for applications to be received by the embassy and not by Human Resources. Therefore, the ministry will not accept any applications received after the aforementioned dates. For further information regarding the application, eligibility, etc., kindly visit the following links. And there are some links, but of course you can't get them. They're too long for me to share on the radio, so please reach out to the necessary individuals. You have on Nevis, Mrs. Shanola Murray Gill or Mrs. Shelley Jones Liebert, and we shared their contacts earlier. If you need to reach out, you can just call the switchboard and ask for the Ministry of Human Resources. We have Mrs. Carol Body, and she's at the Ministry of Education in St. Kitts, 467-1484. We have Mr. Damien Aiching Liao or Mr. Jack Lee, and they represent the Embassy of the Republic of China and Taiwan, Taylor's Range, Bastyr, St. Kitts, 465-2421. So those are the contacts for the Taiwanese scholarship, as we refer to them, but they are the Taiwan MOFA and ICDF scholarships, or Taiwan MOFA and ICDF scholarships. Okay, we also have the OAS scholarships, and we have various OAS scholarships coming out annually. So the Ministry of Human Resources, Nevis Island Administration, wishes to inform that the Organization of the American States, OAS, has declared the call for the 2023 scholarship applications for undergraduate, graduate academic studies and graduate research. Please be guided by the following stipulations. Applications for the graduate studies should already be enrolled in a program and be eligible to graduate within 2 academic years. Applicants for the graduate studies should have already completed 1 year or have an acceptance letter from the university where he or she plans to study. The benefits, OS scholarships, have a monetary cap of US $10,000 per academic year for a minimum of 1 and no more than 2 academic years. Funds may cover the following benefits and are assigned on a case-by-case basis: tuition and mandatory fees, health insurance, monthly complimentary subsistence allowance, round-trip air ticket, books, and study materials. Undergraduate applicants, there's an application link for you, but you can get that information by reaching out to the Ministry of Human Resources. The same obtains for graduate applicants. And for scholarship requirements, selection process, evaluation criteria, eligibility requirements, and more, there are some documents as well that you would need to peruse, and the documents, everything has to be submitted to the Ministry of Human Resources by Monday, 6th March 2023 for onward processing. So if you have not done so yet and you're interested, please note that Monday, 6th March is the deadline for the OAS scholarship. And then the final scholarship that we have to share is the Romanian Scholarship Program 2023. So you realize we're going, we're regional, we're international, and so we want to make sure that we as global citizens, that we are aware of what's happening and what's available all across the different areas and for the various scholarship programs. The Ministry of Human Resources and the Nevis Island Administration wishes to inform you of the Romanian Scholarship Program 2023. This scholarship opportunity is funded by the Romanian state and it targets candidates interested in pursuing studies at undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate levels. The benefits of the scholarship include registration and admission fees, tuition fees, a monthly allowance, accommodation expenses, medical assistance, and transportation. Applicants must complete and submit the application form online, and there is a via https://scholarships.studyromania.gov.ro and /. A copy of the completed applications must also be delivered to the Ministry of Human Resources. It is important to have a copy of one's diploma or highest degree, academic transcripts, birth certificate, passport, and curriculum vitae ready to upload to the portal. Successful applicants are required to study the language for 1 year before beginning their program. Also note that the scholarships are not offered in the fields of medicine, dental medicine, and pharmacy. The list of accredited higher education institutions can be found on a website, and you can also, I forgot to say earlier, access this information via the NIA Scholarships Facebook page, and you can get the directions and guidelines as to the various links. And each university has a different deadline and would also differ for the scholarships from the scholarship deadline. The deadline for applications to be received by the Ministry of Human Resources here in Nevis is Wednesday, 22nd February. That's in just about 2 weeks, 2023. The Romanian State's scholarship publication deadline differs. However, it is important to note that this date is for the applications to be received by the embassy, not Human Resources. Therefore, the ministry will refuse all applications received after said date. And contact persons: Mrs. Zahnela Claxton, Mrs. Shelley Jones-Liburd, Ministry of Human Resources. As I said, you can contact them by reaching out at 469-5521, 5163, or 5166. And note that if you don't remember the number, you can always call the switchboard and ask for the Ministry of Human Resources. So we would note that there are several opportunities there. There are several opportunities available for tertiary education, and we want you all to access as far as possible. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
860 AM, the powerhouse.
It's time Come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly. You don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio. It's you on the go. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. With storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook page and the YouTube channel, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Department of Education, and we're here with you on Saturdays to share as much information, updates, activities as possible. As I said earlier in the show, it is an action-packed term, and some persons caption it sports term because this is when the track and field events happen. I think every term is technically some form of a sport, or we have some type of sport, but this is when track and field reigns supreme, and this is when everyone gets very excited, and it's always interesting and somewhat entertaining, especially to see our parents reliving their glory days and running, and everyone becomes an athlete, I think, during track and field season. I want to extend commendations, though, before we go into the track and field schedule coming up. Of what's coming up, I want to extend commendations on behalf of the Ministry and Department of Education to our students who traveled to St. Kitts to participate in the Giant Malt Relay Championships last weekend. There was an event, Relay Championships, and cheerleading competition, which took place at the Kim Collins Stadium, and we saw our we had about we took a contingent of about 120 persons down to St. Kitts, and our students did creditably well. It was for some of them their first secondary meet. It was some of them their first meet for this season, and for some their first meet in a very long time, considering the hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though last year we had our school sports meets and we had inter-primary, we did not have any of those inter-secondary or inter-high school meets. And so we saw that our students very early in the season trying to put forth their best, and I want to say highest commendations to their coaches and of course their support staff at their various schools and within the community who accompanied the students to St. Kitts, and those persons who have been working with our students. I can tell you that our coaches have been working with students as far as I know from since last year, from when we started the school meets. We have regular training sessions, and there are training sessions happening throughout the school year. So there's no quote-unquote sports term, because one of the things that they have shared with us is that if we do not continuously practice, we increase the likelihood of injuries, and we don't want that. We want to develop professional athletes, or athletes who can perhaps get track and field scholarships or various sports related scholarships because of their skills. And so commendations, as I said, to those coaches who have been working, who have been ensuring that our students get the opportunities to access and to be able to grow from strength to strength. And we should be able to see them achieving various personal bests this season, and we look forward to enjoying the moment with them. And so there are a few more coming this season. I'll share some of those inter-secondary and inter-primary type meets, but What's next on the roster? We have coming up tomorrow, the Charlestown Secondary School has their sports meet, and their meet is under the patronage of Mr. Lester Blackett. The meet takes place at the Nevis Athletic Stadium, and so we can look forward to seeing the meet commencing at 2 p.m. And the CSS Lions, they have 4 colors: red, green, blue, and gold, and so we look forward to seeing that. Admission, $10 for adults, and $10 ages 12 and over, and $5 under 12. And if you're parking inside, then that comes at a cost of $20, and the $20 only covers the driver and the vehicle. So if you want to drive into the Nevis Athletic Stadium and park inside, then that's $20, and that covers one driver. If there are other passengers, then the aforementioned rates apply. Okay, so that's coming up tomorrow. We wish the Charlestown Secondary School the very best, the entire team at CSS the very best tomorrow for a successful meet, and of course we wish the athletes the very best as well. And we know that generally our secondary schools have very interesting competitions, and so we look forward to seeing those tomorrow. As we continue to look at the upcoming meets, following CSS, the next meet is the meet hosted by the Gingerland Secondary School, and they have dubbed this meet their 50th anniversary meet. Of course, we know that GSS celebrated their 50th anniversary on January 24th, and so and please note there has been a change of date. The meet was previously scheduled for February 16th, is now scheduled for 2 p.m. on February 19th. Admissions $5 for children under 12, and $10 for adults and secondary school students, and $20 inside parking. The venue, Nevis Athletics Stadium. The patron is Mr. Adrian Williams, and we have 3 colors represented for this sports meet. We have red, the Red Hornets, the green Stallions, and the blue Jaguars. So those are the teams which will be represented at GSS's meet on February 19th. So if you note, we have a meet this weekend for CSS and next weekend for GSS. As we continue to look at the calendar of events, the sports schedule, and this schedule just speaks to the sports days. We're not speaking to the various fringe activities. I saw this week Charlestown Primary had a chant competition. I think they went big because I realized one of their guest artists was De Jour. They had De Jour, they had Mr. Cool, Mr. Brown there, who's Mr. Cool 2022. He was present, he was part of it, and it was indeed an event. And so there are several fringe activities happening, as I said, at the various schools, and you'll learn more about those from the schools, but we're sharing with you the major dates so that you can save the date. I know that some persons find it a privilege and honor to go to all of the sports meets, and so we want to make sure that you have your dates straight. So please correct the February 16th for GSS, and that is now February 19th. Then we go straight to Charlestown Primary, CPS, and their meet is on February 22nd. That's just a few days after the meet hosted by GSS. Then we go to EPPS, and their meet is February 23rd. Neves Academy, February 28th. Joycelyn Liebert Primary, March 2nd. Ivor Walters Primary, March 3rd. St. James Primary, March 7th. St. Thomas's Primary, March 8th. VOGen Preschool, March 9th. V&J's Preschool, March 9th. VOJN Primary, March 10th, and on March 10th, we will also see Gingerland Pre and Montessori Academy. March 11th and 12th, we will see the reintroduction of the Nevis High School Championships, and of course that has been on a 2-year hiatus. That was actually the last meet that we had before the COVID lockdown in 2020. So that took place the weekend of prior to the lockdown, and following that meet, we went into lockdown. So the high schoolers had their last meet 2 years ago, and we will see the reintroduction of the Nevis High Schools Championship. Then we'll see the meet by Cicely Brown Integrated School on March 14th, March 16th, Modcross Prep, March 17th, INS France Preschool, March 20th, Vernon Lou Preschool, 21st, St. John's Preschool, 23rd, Combermere Preschool, 28th, Charlestown Preschool, and then we will see the Nevis Primary Schools Championship, better known as Interprimary, happening on April 5th. And so those are the local meets happening here on Nevis. As I said earlier, we have a few meets which involve our high school students. We have a few inter-school meets as well, and so we want to encourage you to keep abreast of the calendar and to make sure that you are aware of what is happening. And for those enthusiasts, I was so happy to see the number of Nevisions, as per usual, there yesterday, on Sunday, supporting our students. So that was a Giant Malt Relay Festival, which took place last Sunday. In terms of other inter-school meets, there is a TDC Inter-High School Multi-Championships that's happening on February 11th and 12th. And then we have the Carib Breweries Inter-High School Championship. That's happening on the 26th of February. And then following that, there is the TDC Inter-High School Championship, and I think that's the 25th and 26th of 25th and 26th of March. And then after that, I think we're seeing there is a Rams Primary School Relay, and that is taking place on May 7th. Rams Primary School Relay, that's May 7th. I'm seeing a Giant Malt Inter-Island Inter-Primary Championship. So Inter-Island, Inter-Primary. So you know we have our local Inter-Primary here in Nevis. There's an Inter-Primary on St. Kitts, sponsored by Rams. And then there is going to be a Giant Malt Inter-Island Inter-Primary Championship on May 14th, and I think that is going to bring the season to a close for our students. There is an Inter-Primary St. Kitts Nevis Primary School Challenge on June 4th. So June 4th is going to be probably the last meet of the season. We realize that the season started a bit early and it is going a bit longer, and that is because our track and field specialists have indicated, like I said earlier, that we need to give children and students various opportunities to self-actualize and to remain informed throughout the season. So that is the rationale for it to be, for what I think promises to be a very active season. Now, in sharing all of these dates, you would realize that almost every day, especially as soon as we get into March, for sure, we will have packed sports meet days, and we know generally our students go from school to school. They support each other. Schools support each other as it relates to meets, and so they go from school to school for these meets. And we want to encourage and to remind that we are still in the business of balancing, and we know education is holistic, and so we are in the business of providing holistic educational opportunities for our students. And so while we are often criticized as a system for skewing on the academic end, we also cannot topple on the other end and lose focus as to why it is important to keep a balance. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk a bit about how we intend to and how we encourage you to maintain that balance.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know, we're gonna have a great time. An hour passes quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's you on the go. You on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, you on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather round. An adventure is always waiting. The storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughn Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughn Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Department of Education, and I'm here with you to share opportunities, updates, activities, as much as I can about the various things happening and the various opportunities, as I said, available to our students, available to our young people on a whole. And so we spoke to some of the activities, and we focused a lot in the third segment on the sporting activities for this term, but we also know that there are different activities happening, and outside of sports, this is the month of February, and we have scheduled the reintroduction of the elocution concept. We have an elocution contest taking place on February 25th, 2023, and we're encouraging all parents and all well-wishers to save the date, make sure that you are there. Our focus, it was important for us to ensure that even though it is a Black History themed activity, that our students understand that Black history is not limited to African history, which is an important part of our history, and what we've seen recently is a skew towards African American history, and we want our students to understand that our history as descendants of African and Afro-Caribbean people, Afro-Navisian people, is more than just what happened in Africa and our connections to Africa, which is important, and definitely not directly connected to or solely focused on African American history. So we wanted our Afro-Navisian history to come out, and so this year the elocution competition will focus on calypsos, and we know that calypsos are social commentary. They tell us a lot about our history, they tell us a lot about our culture, and so we have our first in a long time, so I said from the 1990s, mid-1990s, I don't think we've had any on Nevis, and so the first in a long time with a different slant, a cultural focus, a cultural slant, the 2023 elocution contest focused on calypsos. So the students will, and just to pique your interest a bit, the students will have the opportunity to recite first round is a standard piece, and the second round is a choice piece, and those pieces were selected from random selection process. Each school was represented, and the pieces were selected through a random selection process. And so in the second round we'll hear some various every school will have a different calypso which they will focus on. And as I said, this is for us an important part of who we are culturally, and we know that as a people, calypsos have helped us to share some of our thoughts in a witty way. It has helped us to identify some of the challenges which we face as a public, as a country, and so we want our students to see and to appreciate, and above all else, that calypsos are indeed poems with music, and songs are poems with music. And so we wanted our children to also see that we can take music, we can take songs and recite them and present them. So we know that it promises to be a very creative evening. It promises to be I think a very competitive evening, and we expect to see the very best from our schools. I know that they are in the planning and preparation phase, and we look forward to seeing what the students are able to come up with over the next few weeks. And so save your date, and we are going to make sure that we give the children the very best support during this process. As I said, it has not been done for quite a while, and so many of our students don't even have a frame of reference for elocution. But we're going to bring it back, and we're starting by doing so in a way that the students can associate with, and they can appreciate both the importance of speaking and public speaking and presenting, as well as the importance of our culture. And so that is something that we want you to look forward to, and we hope that you're saving the date for. Additionally, so that's what's happening for our primary schools and our secondary schools. And then our preschools will be doing a Black History concert, and their concert will focus on some of our traditional folk songs, some of the songs that, and it's funny because in going through this process, one of the points that we noted is that our younger persons don't necessarily know many of the folk songs, and so as we listened to some of them and we did the research and we went through and talked to some of our more senior officers and more senior persons in the community who were able to share some of the songs that I know every Independence concert and even Christmas concerts, we used to have our folk songs, and our children and some of our younger teachers might not have had that exposure. Once again, it's important for our people to understand and our children to understand that our history is what transpired or what took place or what was the norm within our context, within our island over the years. And so that is going to be a very interesting round. They will also have a round which focuses on persons in our community who have contributed, and I think it's going to take the form of interacting with the crowd. So that one should be interesting. And then there will also be a round where our students are able to model various attire that they associate with our culture in some way, our heritage in some way. So that, as I said, March 1st promises to be an interesting event for our early childhood team, and we applaud and commend all of our supervisors at our various preschools. We commend our team at our early childhood team at the Department of Education, and we look forward to an exciting activity coming up on March 1st. So you realize, in addition to the sports days, we have a few, very, very few down days, and in those very, very few down days, we've already put some activities in there. And so, as I said, we want to make sure that we keep the and I can make the analogy of the seesaw, the scale, that you don't have it tipping too much on one end, and so you lose out on the other end, but that we try to maintain the level of balance needed to be able to give our students exposure, allow them to be able to experience different things. We know that education, and as I said before the break, sometimes the system is criticized for skewing completely on the academic end, but we want parents, we want listeners, we want everyone out there to understand that at the end of it, while we are trying to teach children how to balance the various components of who they are and develop the various components of who they could be. We want them to also be able to leave the system with some of the functional skills. So we still have during January, we had our professional development sessions as per usual, and some of our sessions focused on language and literacy and building those skills within our students, because that is very important. That's functional. Reading is a functional skill, and we want to make sure in the coming months and years that we strengthen those skills to ensure that our students can not only call words, but that they can read and that they can comprehend and be able to transfer knowledge and information. Some of our sessions focused on the integration of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics concepts, 21st century skills, and engineering design and performance tasks to help us to get to that point. And so these, as I said, we're trying to provide a balance. We're trying to develop lifelong learners. We're trying to develop holistically developed students and individuals, and who are very well-rounded and able to transfer and transition no matter where they may end up. Big goal, big dream, but very possible through the partnerships and through the collaboration and cooperation from all of the entities involved. And so we want to thank our team at the department once again for the hard work and for the planning and the execution to date. But we also want to say thank you to our schools, our principals, our teachers who have been implementing so far, and for those who are still in the process of transitioning, we look forward to ensuring that we have that balance that we are seeking in the long run. And so please make sure that you support your schools, you support your principals, you support the teachers, you support the department as we try to achieve this goal. I said at the beginning of the show that we tend to skew very heavily on this athletic end during this term, and the excitement is, I think, what drives us. I love, by the way, I place on record, I love track and field. Track and field has always been one of my favorite sporting events and times, and recently I think it's coming close is probably football. I've gotten some involvement and exposure to football, and then of course there's cricket and netball, which are part of our history and our culture as well, and that we cannot lose sight of. But in all of our passion, we have to make sure that we can transfer the passion to provide that level of balance. So this word it goes out to the parents and the guardians and everyone who supports the children. We look forward to seeing that same level of enthusiasm, or even half of that level of enthusiasm, as it relates to student behavior management. We need your passion. We need your presence. As I said, if parents have to take off near every single day to participate in a cross-country run or relay or support their children during those activities, they will, and rightly so. But we're looking for that level of support even in the various components, the other components. So the elocution contest is coming. We're looking forward to seeing you parents. We're looking forward to seeing you general public. We're looking forward to seeing you guardians. Outside of the elocution contest, we have our academics coming, and we crave your continued support. We have academics happening all throughout the year, so in terms of activities and assignments and making sure the children complete what they need to complete, we look forward to your continued support. All right, listeners, viewers, we are geared up for a great term, and we're doing well, and we look forward to talking to you next week. So have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.
With all the power